some stuff or some sand and silt that we removed. Actually, we're not going to replenish it all, but we are going to line the edges with some fresh, and then line this over here with some fresh sand and silt, and make it kind of look more like what you see here. You can see how fresh it is there versus over here. So that's what we're doing. So that's what we're going to do. So this morning, on this morning's video, I I chopped a lot of this dog kennel out and pulled out a lot of agates and crystal. And I just had a lot of stuff. Too much stuff up in there. And what was happening was it was wicking a shit ton of water right up through here. So this is the rock wall right here. All of it, you can watch today's video. All of this was it's just turned to mud. It's like freaking worm casting goo. And it was flooding the system. Right there for now. Well, it was flooding. I say it's flooding the system. It was flooding that center pocket up there, is what it was doing. So if we removed, you can see this is just grass. Just doing a little tidying up around the edge here where we removed. We cut all that dog fennel out. Y'all have to excuse my voice. The weather around here has been freaking insane. 20 degrees, 60 degrees, back down to 40 degrees. And we've got some sand. Fresh silt, sand, clay, organic matter. You can see where it's falling off the edge there. That's by design. I wanted to disconnect this. So all this here is now disconnected, and it's only being wicked up over here. So you can see the rock wall right here. This is the top of the rock wall. And you can see all this is just getting soaked. All those worm castings are just falling down. So we're just going to do a little dredging, and we'll put a little fresh sand and silt. Get this doo-doo, so to speak. We'll just lay it on this pad here for now. You can lay it out and let it dry. Once it dries, it'll be good to go again. It's just soaking like that. Wow. Worm castings just turned into goo. Mud, so to speak. So see, there's the creek edge. So the top of the creek, this is all now disconnected from the water. There will be no more wicking up right through there. all we gotta do is just fill in the sand silt. See it. You can watch it create where the water flows. This is where the pea gravel comes into play. So I'll just take a little bit of pea gravel that we've been building up on the edge here. We can drop that pea gravel right on the edge there. Maybe a little algae there. And that will hold that sand and silt there. Keep it from flowing away. Good afternoon, everybody. Appreciate y'all showing up. I just looked down, just trying to. We kind of did a little repair over here this morning on the. And what we did was we disconnected the creek here. So all of this has now been disconnected. So this is the creek's top of the rock wall where all that stuff was sitting and all that dog fennel was sitting. It just got mudded up. It's full of worm castings. It's just all that sand and silt is turned into worm shit. So I'm just gonna add some more. We're gonna replenish what they've taken, so to speak. So, but I disconnected because there's too much water going into the center pocket there. So it was flooding the center hole, and yeah, you can see what we're dealing with here. They're kind of droopy. I don't think that's kind of overwatered, but I think it has a lot to do with it because it's just happening right in this area here. And this is where, on the microscope, we were seeing a lot more bad things. But these, also the wind is blowing right on this. So I rerouted the air a little bit. But still, this one here just looks terrible for some reason. And I'm pretty sure it's environment, but I'm not sure if it's soil environment or my environment because everything else looks freaking great except for this one spot. So it's racking my brain on trying to figure out, but I knew this had to be fixed either way. Yeah, thanks for showing up, everybody. Trippy, Ultimate, Petey, Mechanic, Small Tubes, Green Man. What's up, Green Man? Hope everybody's day is doing great. What we're going to do is I'm going to set this camera back in this pedestal here. Yeah, the VPD has got the pulse meter right over there. The VPD's been good. All the the environment, like I said, this draws me to the conclusion that it's that it's not environment related because everything else in here is doing great. And it's just this one particular area on this one particular plant. So there's 2 plants in this hole here. And turn this. There we go. So yeah, there's two plants in the center here. Cotton candy over there is doing great. I can't show any real signs of any deficiencies. Maybe a little bit of streaking here and there in the branches, but nothing to be concerned about. This one here got the droopy leaves, got red streaking, really severe red streaking in the stems. Not so much in the top. This is the top, and then these are all the branches. We just got it pulled down, you know. But anyway, we fixed what we know was a problem. We fixed that, disconnected that. So now, pretty much, the only spot that's really connected here disconnected this. There's a little spot right there that's connected, and then a little spot right here, but all of this is disconnected. All the way around to that corner where that dog kennel is, that's connected as well, but not very much. So we're going to let that center dry out a little bit. Yeah, and then we'll go from there. But I'm going to add some sand and silt to this creek here. We're going to replenish some of this in the center here. And I'm not concerned about the organic matter because the organic matter will float on top. So you can actually, I'll take the camera down there so you can see. You can actually see the organic, most of the organic matter will float on top and float on down and get trapped in a lot of different things, but some of it will go on down into the pond where the fish will eat it, turtles will eat it, whatever will get it. Look at all the shrimp. Shrimp will have a field day going through this new sand and silt. They love that fresh sand and silt. Look at all of them. Ton of them right there. But yeah, we're just gonna get the zoom right and see if I can. Cheers, Riz. Early Halls. Goat. Nice to see everybody. Appreciate everybody showing up. Just doing a little maintenance. A little silt. What's up, Hoss? Adding silt to the sand. Imagine like this, what I'm picturing here is like when the big rain comes down the mountain, it's going to flush a lot of this sand and silt down the mountain into this lower regions of the creek. And this is going to replenish a lot of the sand and silt along the edges. When the floods come and the rains come, we're just going to mimic that without the rain. Replenish what these worms have taken. So if you see, I'm going to extend the. You watch me extend the sand and silt. So as that water is being wicked up, it'll wick right on up and it'll follow that. All that sand and silt, all that fresh sand and silt that you see that I'm putting in there, it will be wet in the morning. But the worms will run through it and all that water will wick right into our soil bed. Right where all that biology needs it. You know what I mean? It needs it in this soil pond here. And then the worms will turn all that sand, silt, organic matter into worm castings, just like it is on the edge of the creek. The grasses will continue to grow across, just like they are now. we'll get that continuous root system in the soil, and we'll just plant our plants, boom, boom, right in the ground. We gotta go up there a little bit. Zoom out. Y'all can see everything, but we gotta go over here. I don't know what y'all can see and what you can't see. But what's going on, everybody? Appreciate everybody stopping in. We're just topping off with some sand, silt, clay, and organic matter. Topping off the creek. You can see that the creek has a new color to it. That's because we're replacing and replenishing what the worms and the critters have taken. We're doing that around the edges where we want the water to wick. And in some places we need to add where it's just been washing through, like right in there. Kind of see some. It won't take long for the daggone critters to eat all this stuff up. Y'all know what I'll be saying. Daggone, my voice sounds like freaking. Well, my throat feels a little scratchy myself, but it's probably fucking COVID. Gotta go get the shot. Get the shot, man. Get the fucking shot. Like that right there. What's up, everybody? What's up? I'm putting sand, and so I'm replenishing the sand and silt in the creek. So I'm basically putting back what the worms and everything have taken. So I'll show you, like, over time, the sand and the silt and the clay. Let me get my camera out here. Turn into worm castings. So Mother Nature usually brings a good rain and wash down from the mountains, washes down new sand and silt from the top, brings it down to the bottom. So what we've done is just replenished the sand and silt in the creek, and then brought it up and laid it a nice little layer through this soil bed here. Did the same thing over there. Same thing right through here. And now we're getting ready to put it right through here. But I'll put some, replenish some in the center too here real quick. Oh, I'm running out. I'm gonna have to go get some more, but I have enough for now, and that's good. Let's see here. Just a quick dash. Oosh. Basically all I'm doing is feeding the worms, because they love sand, silt, clay, and organic matter. They love this stuff. And if it gets moist, they love it even more. Because once it gets wet, it's easier for them to push on down into the little gullies and get what they want. So you can see that all this, it's all black worm castings. I'm not going to touch it, because if I touch it, those little balls, the little worm castings will crush. You see those little, it's aggregated right now. So those little balls, that's air passages. That's what we want. What I want to do is just fill this in, fill those air passages in with a little bit of this sand and silt, and the worms will do what we want them to do. They'll come through and they'll eat the bacteria. They'll push that sand and silt through their system, coating it. All that shit they got in their guts. And out comes the worm casting with all kinds of goodies in it. And that worm casting, inside the worm casting, is usually, it's mind blowing how much is in one of those little nuggets. The amount of microbes and bacteria and fungi and freaking nematodes. I mean, all kinds of shit. You wouldn't believe it what's inside that little ball. That's why they're so good for plants. It's because they're packed full of biology, bacteria that has mined the nutrient inside that worm casting, and they're shitting out plant available food. So the nematodes and the protozoa and the arthropod, all these things are, it's a poop loop. They're shitting. And that releases food. Amino acids and all kinds of goodies. All kinds of that scientific stuff. All we need to know is how it works. And let everything else, like, all I need to know is, what do they need? How do I get it to them to do their job? That's all I need to know. If I know that, we're golden.
And we're finding out more and more, like, and when I say we, I say like the science community. I'm not in the science community, but I'm following them. I'm trying to get in there with it. I mean, I'm on in a microscope class now on Monday nights with some really educated people who have taken classes. And I'm learning from them, and they're nice enough to teach me basically for free what they know. And in return, what I'm going to do is uh, build a system that we can monitor this and see it firsthand. And I can like add these types of free things like the sand and the silt and the clay. This is like basically creek sand, beach sand. And if we can turn this into this, that's a good thing. And we do it quickly too. Really quickly. I mean, if we set the stage and allow these guys to do their work, and they all are together, like it's crazy how the loop, like once the chain gets connected, man, it's fucking on. Like Donkey fucking Kong, you know what I mean? If you're from the 80s, like me, you give them what they need, and they will do the job for you. All I've done actually is, and I figured out a way to water them. So the creek, it's just, I just followed nature. It's nothing, I'm not a fucking genius. But I did figure out how to put it together. So say make that what you want. But it was just, I had once I had the knowledge from the podcasts and all the different people that were giving out free knowledge, and I was like, wait a minute, I live on a creek. I live on these I live like right on everything they're talking about that I needed for something like this. I had it here on my property. All I had to do was kind of piece it together and then build a structure that could house everything, learn the horizontal system. And the horizontal system from Layton is what allows us to funnel that water down into the reservoir and create basically a zone down there where the water can sit. So down at that bottom that's bedrock. So just picture if we had a house up here, we would want to drill a well. We would drill a well down till we hit bedrock, or down till we hit the water table. And that's our water table down there. And we separate that water table with the sand, the silt, and the clays. Same stuff that we're putting on up top is down there separating that rock down at the bottom. And the clay, a red clay layer on top of this sand and silt and clay, a thin layer about an inch thick. You don't need it thick, you need it thin. So you don't want it to hold water, you want it to stop it at that clay layer and then slowly seep down. Allow that water to penetrate down, but keep that organic matter, which is your soil, on top of that clay. So the clay is just your separator, okay? That's all it is. It keeps the organic matter from ending up down in our bedrock down there, down in the reservoir. And that's the whole trick. So we can flood the system if we want. It's just going to fill up our reservoir. This happens when we cut the plants. So if we cut all the plants, all that water is going to rush down into the reservoir, and we'll see water down in the bottom there. That's how we know it works. I want to see water. If we didn't see water down in our hole, that means it's trapped up here in this organic zone where we don't want it trapped. We want the excess to go on down, seep down into that reservoir where it belongs, down into that water table, and where it can be stored without sand or without organic matter. It just has basically this stuff. The same stuff that's in the creek is down there. This stuff is meant to sit in water, and it holds biology. So when the roots get down there, if we can get the biology right, we'll start to see things like this come from the bottom. And those roots will tap into that water table down there, into this sand and silt, which is now being broken down by the microbes, and the plant is tapping in. There's another one over here. We'll start to see this more and more throughout the bed. It's pretty wild. But this is what I'm learning. And it's definitely, if we can get the microbes right, then all the pests, all the disease, everything just seems to go away. Because what we're doing is creating a zone, and an aerobic zone in the soil system where it's just the right amount of moisture, but not too much, where the microbes are just happy and full and multiplying and doing their thing. And the more they multiply, the more they eat, the more they eat, the more they shit. The more they shit, the more food we have. The more food we have, the healthier the plant is. The healthier the plant is, the stronger the plant is. The stronger the plant, no pests. And that's the chain we have to connect. We have to connect these loops. Once we connect this chain of events, everything just comes together. It's how nature's supposed to do it. And they're figuring out, these microbes, they're figuring out, what does what bacteria breaks down what fungi breaks down what. It's crazy how they can dial in, and like, you need excess phosphorus? They have a microbe for that. You need more nitrogen? They have a microbe for that. You need more of this? They have microbes that you can naturally go down in there and produce these elements for the plant. And once the plant has access to these microbes, it can talk to them. It can basically send signals to it and literally fucking just take off. Oh yeah, spider mites were the worst. Like, shit. Spider mites, dude, were the worst enemy that I had when I was growing in a 4x4 bed in 30-gallon pots like those right there. I actually posted a video today of me on an interview, 2 videos today of me on my beneficials. You should check those out. They're on my live videos on YouTube here. But you can see the bed at the beginning. Like, but when it was being built, it's the first video, and then they had me back on after I built it, and it was, running for like 6-7 months. But yeah. Spider mites were unbelievable, but I'm telling you, all that shit goes away because all those pests like that start down here. They start in the soil. So if they can't lay their egg or their larva, then they can't reproduce. If they can't reproduce, they're done. All you're going to get is one cycle. So then all you really have to do is take care of that one cycle, and that'll really basically die off on their own. They'll just go extinct because they don't live long and they can't reproduce. So there you go. Game over. Thrips is probably the biggest thing because they like to live up here. But once you get your brix level, what I mean by brix is the BRIX, which is basically the sugar content of the leaf itself. So if we can get those bricks up to like a 14, game over. Nothing can touch it. Like right now, I don't test for bricks. I don't really test for anything because I don't chase numbers anymore. I gave up chasing numbers a long time ago. There's no way, like a soil test, it's changing constantly. I'm growing with microbes here. I'm growing with biology, and biology doesn't sit still. So they're constantly, and especially if I get the environment right, once I dial in the environment, and they can continuously work with no interruptions, non-stop, 24/7, who knows? You know what I mean? Like, look at the color change since I added that new silk. I can see it. I don't know if you guys can, but I can see that color. And that's what I'm looking for. That's kind of like I just basically brought the fresh organic matter and sand and silt down from the mountain, and it washed down and spread out all over our garden, replenishing what the worms and everything had taken. And now these worms are going to come back, and they're going to go through, they'll turn all that back into worm casting. And that will replenish the system from what has been taken, or we're just building on top. Even if it hasn't been taken, we're going to build on top. We're going to build these layers and layers and layers, and we'll keep adding this organic matter. And as this creek grass, like none of this was here. Like all of this will grow, all of this will root into the system. All of that will turn into worm castings, as long as we don't like go pushing on it and fucking with it. All this grass will continue to come on over. This sand and silt will turn in. We'll next go around, we'll add more, and we'll just continue to bring it on and on. This just takes time. We can't do it all at once. We can't pile it up. It has to be in layers, thin layers. So think about, like, you know, nature happens over a long course of time. You know, we're doing thin layers. Boom, boom, boom. It's hard, yeah. It's hard to get a 2x4 to get real living soil to work. It is hard, yeah, because the moisture content has to be dialed in perfectly, and it has to be even throughout the soil. And the best way I can explain this is think about, all right, think about this. Most of these soils are peat moss or sphagnum peat moss base, that these living soils I'm talking about. And they have a lot, they're basically a super soil. So they're peat moss, sphagnum peat moss, with like vermiculite and bone meal and crab meal and feather meal and blood meal, and you know, people add different recipes. Everybody's got a different recipe, but these things, this is like a super soil for these plants. And when you put that soil into a system, there's no sand, there's no silt, there's no clay in that soil. So really, there's nothing there to mine. Okay, these critters mine. Bacteria mines things. Fungi and bacteria mine things. So on the soil food web, bacteria and fungi are the two smallest. The bacteria and the fungi are the two things that don't shit. These two things don't shit. All they do is mine. There's so many of them that they're mining the rock and the sand and the silt and the clay. They're mining this stuff, okay? And then the next predator comes in and eats the bacteria, and what it eats, it shits out. So whatever the bacteria was eating on is what that predator is going to then eat the bacteria and then shit out the backside. And what it shits is what that plant is going now to be plant available, because it's in almost a liquid goo form. Now the plant can uptake that, whatever it was. And what scientists are being able to do is dial in what does what likes to eat what. And once they dial in what likes what, then it's all about just, hey, I get this to mine this, and it gives me zinc. And if I can get this bacteria that looks like this under the microscope, and then I can, you know, utilize that to then put in my system to mine if I have zinc deficiency. So, you know, it's really wild how it works and how crazy it is. And the more I learn about it, the more I'm just like, what? I'm just like, it's the same system in our gut, the same fucking system. Like our gut, it's all about energy and producing energy. All this stuff takes power, you know. I'm not walking around here holding this phone without it right now. I gotta have it. And if I didn't eat earlier, I wouldn't have any power to walk around and hold this phone. Just like these leaves right here don't have any power to hold up those leaves right now. Something in that line is clogged, so to speak. Something down there in the soil is fucking up, not allowing this certain side of the plant to get what it needs to stand up and to do what it needs to do. And kind of my job is to figure out what I did, and I think I figured it out. It was just way too much water being wicked up in there. We went a little anaerobic. We've got some anaerobic bacteria and different types of shit down in there that are clogging up the system. They're fighting down there. Shit ain't running right. So all we did was cut off the water supply, and that will allow it to dry out. Those anaerobes will take over, and or the aerobic will take over the anaerobes, and get everything back in order. And once everything's back in order, as long as the environment's dialed in, we should come back good to go. But we're not really concerned about this plant. Like I said, we're day 43, and these are seeded. So these are seeded flower. They're beautiful. They smell great. They don't see any deficiency in the bud. I just see it like in the leaves, like on that branch there particularly. This one here particularly just looks droopy as hell. Like it don't like too much humidity. Usually it's too much humidity pushing down. What's up, man? What's going on, guys? Dub, Juniors, Fault here. What's going on? Yeah, I'm just fucking around. Yeah, we replenished some sand and silt. You kind of see the difference in color that we got going on around in the creek. We just replenished and extended that sand layer on up into the soil. But yeah, we're trying to get this grass. We're working on this grass, getting it to come all the way over into this bush here, and then we're just gonna. That way, this grass is it's an evergreen. It just stays green. It's constantly building biology. It gets thick like this, but we can plant. But the roots aren't thick. It's crazy. These roots are straight. They don't. You can actually pull them up. Look how white. I'll show you. Look how white they are. There we go. They're tiny. They're like little baby roots. But that's what we need. We need more roots, the better off we're going to be. Like this sand that we just put down is already starting to get wet. Like it's already sucking up that moisture. So the worms will just come around and do their thing. I don't know what that is. It's full of good stuff. There's old root. It's old kiwi peel. That's a Kimmy Pure bag. Those Kimmy Pure bags are what we put in the creek here. They help. It's just biochar and some clays and some different shit they put in there, synthetics that they put in there that really help clean the water. We put 2 of them in there, and we change them out once every couple months. And then we've got this nitrate pad sitting here that we actually need to take out right now. This is going to help the water flow. But all that poo, it's all food. This is food for the microbes. Let's see, let's go over here. Let's move this over a little bit. Let's go back here. Let's set this right here. And let those worms and everything come up. This is the worm castings. Spread this out right through here. It'll dry out a little bit, and then it'll spread out itself. This was dirty as shit. Look how the critters have cleaned it all up. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that, Dub. It's fun. It's a nice little project. Look at our little mini bud struggling. Just ought to put her out of her misery. She never rooted. Or did it? Did it root? No. No, it was just pulling from the leaves. Just staying alive is all that was doing. Staying alive. Just break it up. Put her right back in the soil. Back to where you come from. Come from it, going back to it. All the soil's connected except for the center. So from this corner all the way around is connected, yes. And then the center is this, because the creek wall runs this way and then runs that way. So the center there is disconnected from this side here. In the center there's about, if you were like filling up a 4x4, that's about, so 120, maybe 120 gallons of soil is what's in there. And then on the edges here, the soil, there's probably, I put 1 bag, 2 bag, 3 bag, 4 bag, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think there was 25 bags of soil total maybe, of soil. But then there was also probably 20 bags. This wasn't bagged. I was using IMO, so I had totes. I had my IMO that I had cooked up. So I put the soil down, then I put my IMO down, and then I put sand layer down, then I put mulch layer down. And that's the layers. And then underneath the soil, there's a clay layer, a red clay layer, an inch thick red clay layer that I have here on the property. And then sand, silt, and clay underneath that. And then pea gravel, and more pea gravel, and more sand, silt, and clay. That's it. And then Digger's area, this area here, we added this year. And you can see right now that we've got this going here. And probably as soon as it warms up a little bit, we're going to be going back to Luckstone, and we're going to be creating a whole new section over here. So it's a whole new pond, whole new creek system. It's going to be a whole new YouTube channel, actually. One that YouTube is going to allow me to show everybody, because we're just going to grow food over here. We're going to have, tomatoes and probably some squash and some beans and herb garden over there. Probably going to be 3 new lights. We're going to have a pond right here. The creek's going to run down the mountain kind of, and then come through here, around through here, turn back into the pond. And yeah, we're going to build a whole new system. We're going to put, like I said, do this one on a whole new YouTube channel, one that we can actually have kids watch. But we're going to build it from the ground up. You're going to get to see it. I'm going to record everything. If you don't catch it live, it'll be, you can catch it later. It'll be posted up. What we'll do is we'll take this, and we'll sit down for a second. We're going to take this out right here, cut it down, come up, and then run a rock wall up to here, and then connect to there, and then connect Digger's spot into this spot down around that area. This spot's not going to be as tall So right there, so we're gonna have this down here. So our drop hole will probably be right at the beginning right here. So this will be the lowest point right over here. And what we'll have to do is when we set the pond liner in, what we have to do is before we set the pond liner in, excuse me, we have to get some smaller rock and get us a little bit of a slope. So what I want to do is add almost like a half inch to a 1 inch plane on from that end over there down to this section down here. And what that's going to do is all that excess water that gets wicked up from down there is going to go down through the soil pockets, down, hit that layer, seep down into there. Once it hits down up there, it will, instead of being trapped up there, it'll all seep down into the similar area down here, hopefully down into our trap hole where we can monitor it. And yeah, that way we kind of have an idea of how much water is actually in the bottom of the system. And that's how we're going to do that. But once we get the rock, we can place the rock where we want it. We're going to use rock. We're not going to go wood this time. We're going to go just a rock foundation. Once I get the wall up high enough where I like it for the reservoir to be, then we'll bring in the pond liner, strap the pond liner up over top that rock, down. The whole thing will be in pond liner. Then the rocks for the pond start to come in. We use river rock for that. And that will go inside that pond liner. Everything else goes inside the pond liner. So once we get the walls built, we get the pond liner in, then we bring the pea gravel in, sand, silt, clay in. Then the pond starts to go up. Then the creek walls start to go in. Then we have to bring more sand, silt, clay up to the layer. This takes a long time. I don't know how long it's going to take. Probably most of the year to get this done. If I finish by January of next year, I'll be proud of myself. Because I'm not going to kill myself either. I'm one man show. And this shit is heavy. And I still work. I'm not retired. So there's that. I don't even see. Oh yeah, no, that's not digger. That's that avocado seed. Let's see if I see digger anywhere. He was over here. But he's not there anymore. Where you at, digger? He's a good hider, I'll tell you that. He is an excellent hider. You would think he'd be easy to spot, but he is not. He is an elusive box turtle. For being his size, sometimes it takes me forever to find him. Like right now. Where the... I don't know. And this will show up when he wants to show up. I know where Pooter's at though. Pooter's right here. And I see one of the turtles right there. Monstera is, I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do with this thing. Look at that one back there. That one's just stupid. What the hell am I supposed to do with that? Where the hell do you think you're going? Where are you gonna grow it? How big does this thing get? Never had one get this big. Of course, I never knew how to grow anything either, so. What is that? It's just ridiculous. And there's a new one coming right down there. Look at that. Look at that one. This thing's gonna get out of hand, I already know. Got it propped up. Oh wait, prop fell. That's why it's freaking looking like that. There we go. Let's prop it back up there. That's too far over there. It just does not want to cooperate. Stay. Yeah, it likes the space. It likes this. It likes being in soil and water. So it's got both. It's got roots in the soil and it's got roots in the water. So roots in the water, roots in the soil. So yeah, it's definitely happy. I mean, kind of crazy. Let's see here. What else? I think we put the sand down through there. We removed that. This looks a whole lot different now. Oh no, there's a shrimpy. Get back in there. There you go. So we disconnected all of this. None of this is connected now to it. This was pulling too much water. So this is the rock that we had. This is the fool's gold in it. Got that, what do you call it? Panerite or whatever it is. Fool's gold. This is where the damn Black Widow spider went up in there underneath that log there. I hope I never see that damn thing again. Is this thing connected? Yeah. All right, I think we're done. I appreciate everybody hanging out. Flowers are looking pretty good. Let's go over here and look at this cotton candy real quick. Yeah. That's going to be a beautiful flower. I can't wait to get those seeds too. It smells just so freaking good. Even the black soldier fly agrees. Yummy. What's up, shooting the soil? Glad you stopped by. I was just getting ready to actually hang it up. This is another one of those Jolly Ponds. It's just a freaking terpy, beautiful little flower. See how healthy they are. And they're terpy as shit. I mean, just terplicious. This one too. This is the yellow skunk. Healthy looking bud. Lemon lime. I mean straight lemon, some lime, some foot, some funky foot, some burnt rubber. Licorice, maybe black licorice. Yeah. The plant material, most of the plant material, almost 95% of it goes right back into the soil, terps and all, terpenes and all, because you wouldn't believe the terpenes that they're actual food down in the soil, and you can actually see them in the soil under a microscope. It's pretty wild, and they're beneficial to the soil. All this plant matter, all these you got to think, all this stuff came from the soil, so it needs to be returned as much as possible. And therefore, we won't have to use amendments and add amendments because, we're putting it back. It's kind of like, when you harvest your tomato plants, you leave behind the biggest tomato, So you just bury that tomato, and then guess what you're going to get next year? Tomatoes. So it's pretty, kind of that concept. Chop and drop. Look at these seeds down here. This is on the yellow skunk here. And this is the other yellow skunk over here. The thin leaf strain. This is Jolly Pond. Here, I'll show you. This is Jolly Pond Marmalade Grove. So this is a immature seed. So it's Garlic Grove times Limarella Marmalade. So it's a cotton candy Kush Mimosa times Coffee Cake Sky Cuddle Kush times GMO Garlic Cookies times Legends Orange Apricot. Feminized seed Sativa. 80 to 90 days photo period. So this is now seeded with this strain here, which is my yellow skunk that I accidentally crossed with I had Nerds Genetics from Robbie at Nerds Genetics, his Daddy Fat Sacks, which Daddy Fat Sacks was the female, and that was a Blue Dream Santa Cruz cut crossed with a Airborne G13. And then I took the male was from Yellow Hammer Genetics, from Josh over at Yellow Hammer Genetics. It was his Blueberry Skank. He calls it Blueberry Skank, which was a Blueberry OG crossed with a Skunk #1. And what I got out of those two crosses is what this is. This is the third time I've run this strain. The first time I've actually seeded it with another yellow skunk male. So this would be an F2 of that strain. So the seeds that come out of this will be F2s. And then the seeds that come out of this and that, which are the Jolly Ponds, will be the first F1s that have that Blue Dream Skunk One crossed with all that apricot stuff. So that's what we did. God knows what we're gonna get. Oh, Jolly Pond's got some fire. I mean, everything I've gotten from them is just, it's definitely another level. It's definitely the stuff I've gotten from them is, and he's a, you know, an organic farmer, a natural farmer. He's got his own farm. He loves those ducks and geese and stuff. And he plays with a lot of different varieties. He's a local guy here to Virginia. And the stuff I get from him is just, well, you see, nice. And terpy as shit. I mean, this thing, like I said, it smells like cotton candy, bubble gum, with some gas, with some lemon, with some, that orange peel is there. Like, everything is there. I'm really curious what those seeds are going to do, because that one there is the one I'm going to really focus on those seeds. And these over here too, because these will be F2s. These were, I mean, this one looks frosty as shit. These should finish before those, because these are sativas, like I said, 80 to 90 days. Last time these finished in like 60, 65 days. So we'll see. The Grandmasters are kicking ass. I'm only running 224 watts. We pulled it up to 55%. We're only running 3 channels. And yeah, that's 224 watts for all three lights are connected. So we're not pulling a lot of power at all. And that's because I have the channels turned down, I have the wattage turned down, and then the volume kind of turned halfway up. And that can give us a PPFD about 950 right in here. Up here is around 1,000. DLI is around 32 to 34-ish, which is perfect. And like I said, if it wasn't for these kind of droopy leaves here that I'm staring at, the whole place would be looking pretty damn good. It's just these few droopy leaves right here that I want to just pluck off, but I'm not going to. I don't know why they just want to just do that. Where these over here are like, yay, over here, and bleh. That leads me to believe. Then right here beside it, yay, bleh. So, leads me to believe it's something in the soil. Too much moisture, which is what we removed. There's too much moisture coming into this pocket, creating shit, and I think that's what was hindering. This is the only plant also getting red streaks. I'm seeing red streaks. So something's not right. Not good. So I believe it was too much water, so we cut all that back, removed. We kind of broke the seal, so it will not be wicking any more water. We kind of destroyed the bridge. And now it should dry out in this pocket here, and we should start to see improvement. Yeah, it's definitely in that run, because I narrowed it down. Like I said, I've narrowed it down to happen to be pretty much in the soil. So, and the only thing it could be with the other one doing so good, and then even this the same plant, look up here, is doing great. That's the top of it. And then I come down here to these lower branches here, and it's just bleh. So these are the top branches, and these are the lower branches. It's got to be that moisture down there. You can see how we super cropped it, or just got a rope tied to it down here and pulling it down. If we didn't do that, she'd be through the roof. So, yeah. Well, I think that's it for me today, guys. I appreciate everybody stopping by, saying what's up. And you know, we'll be here, thank you, Ninja. We'll be here tomorrow morning. So check out the video in the morning, and we'll see you then. Peace.